Hey, what's up, old school homies? Today we're going to talk about alcohol. Oh man, what a polarizing subject alcohol is. People always think that alcohol is cool, and then they drink it, and then they think it's not cool. Can't we make any decisions here? That's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is that I studied alcohol for at least a decade, like tasting it, learning about it, trying to figure out anything I could about it because it really didn't make a lot of sense to me that you could drink something and you would get dizzy. I mean, it's kind of odd. In the end, I found the simplest truths inside of my own mind and inside of science to figure out exactly what alcohol is. Is it a drug? Oh gosh. It's a pretty natural drug. I mean, a lot of drugs are, but I don't know if I would really call it a drug. It's, I mean, people do, and it is a drug. It affects the brain, so that's why it's a drug. But why is it a drug? It's kind of just a solvent, and that's how I look at it now. It's solvent. I mean, you have rubbing alcohol. You ever pour rubbing alcohol on something and try to clean it off? Cleans really good. You can burn it. It's lightable. Anything that you could light on fire, you probably shouldn't put in your body. I'm just gonna break that down. So, of course I have. I've drank whatever proof alcohol before. Not a lot of it, but I've tried people's homemade moonshine, like a little tiny bit that was supposedly like the highest proof there is. Trust me, that shit is lethal. I've tasted Everclear. It's lethal, man. That shit is crazy. So what is it? It's urine. In my opinion, it's urine. So how do you see it that way, Trav? Well, I've made beer myself and I've tried to understand it, and I do understand it. I know exactly how alcohol is measured. I know how it's created. What it is you take sugar and water. The sugar could come in any form: molasses, honey, grains have sugar in them. Believe it or not, that's what's kind of weird. People don't see grains as having sugar in them, but they have starches in them. And you actually convert the starches into sugars, and then the yeast are able to eat the sugars made from converted starches. So, I mean, 99% of people I talk to about alcohol don't know what it is. So, I'm going to break it down. After you get sugar and water together, you pour yeast into there, and what yeast is it's a single-celled organism. It's a fungus. The yeast zooms around all over the solution, the water with sugar in it, and it eats it all. Now, you could stop them a little bit early, but that's all in attenuation. If the yeast eat all the sugar, it's fully attenuated. If there's 10% of the sugars left and you poured all of the beer off of the yeast, you're still going to have some residual sugars that the yeast weren't able to eat in time. But if you leave the yeast to those sugars, they'll finish eating them. They just need more time. After that, the yeast will eat themselves. That's called autolysis. And once they eat each other, it produces really off flavors. It's basically like they are cannibalizing each other, and it's going to produce more smelly flavors, definitely. So a lot of beer companies, they just finish the beer early. It's not fully attenuated, And that's why it kind of gives you a little bit of a hangover. If you have really fully attenuated beer, you have less chances of hangovers because you have to convert all of those sugars into energy or something else, as where if the beer was fully attenuated, your stomach doesn't have to do that work. It's already done. That's really scientific, but don't go into that. Don't think about alcohol as much as I have. I know way too much about it. And I've created hangoverless beers. Oh, this shit's pretty funny too. You get somebody fucking drinking hangoverless beer. I've had somebody drink 10% beers, fully hangoverless, and he was just delusional. Oh man, that shit's funny.